I'm Kesey, and I'm going to be sharing with you just a little bit about my faith journey today. So, I grew up going to church with my family, and in fact, I've always gone to American Lutheran Church. I was baptized here, and I had my first days of Sunday school here, my first communion. I watched my sister get married here, and I was recently confirmed here this past fall. And my nephew also got baptized here, and I became his godmother. This church is very important to me and a huge part of my faith journey, but it is only just the beginning. This church has given me opportunities to explore my faith journey, in God in many different ways, through Sunday school, mission trips, 507s, and just getting a little more involved with the church as I got older. Even if it's just giving the look on Wednesday nights when she'd walk up to you with her paper and she was just going to ask you to read something off the board on Wednesday night service with the microphone, or come up front and do something, and you really didn't want to, but you couldn't say no to Stacy. Everyone's faith journey starts at different times in their lives. Some, it may be the day they were born into this world, maybe not until they get confirmed. And for others, it might not be till they're older and someone reaches out to them and brings them into the church and shows them God and teaches him about them, because not everyone knows God when they're born. My faith journey started before I was even born. My faith journey started the day my parents had felt the world had turned on them and everything was closing in. The day my older sister passed away and went to the most wonderful place I could ever imagine. That's the day my journey started. My mom has told me that if Callie wouldn't have passed away, they wouldn't have tried for any more kids, and that me and crew probably wouldn't be here today. And that just amazes me. Some days that kind of almost makes me feel guilty in a way that her life was sacrificed for mine, but I know that's not what it is. It was just God wanted one of his most precious creations sooner than what we wanted him to. I know that my parents love us so much and they're glad we're here, even though they would probably do anything to have their first baby girl back. Knowing that without Callie passing away that I probably wouldn't be here, it just makes me want to cherish my life so much more. And some days I feel like I'm just living on this earth for Callie, to fulfill the moments that she never got to live through her short life. Almost like I don't want to disappoint her while I'm here. I don't live my life feeling guilty, but I live my life feeling grateful. And as I grew up and learned more about my sister, what she was like, what trouble she got into, and most of all, through everything she went through hospital visits and checkups, that she was always happy. And I feel like a bond has grown with me and Callie, even though I've never got to spend time with her or be with her. And I just feel like a huge part of that is because of my relationship with God. Now, growing up going to this church and my parents doing a good job of making sure that we were involved in going to church school really helped plant the seed for that strong bond that me and God have today. Learning the stories of Jesus every Sunday school down in the basement of the church, and all the way through First Communion classes and confirmation classes on Wednesday nights, and then now getting confirmed, this church and the people of the church have guided me through every milestone of my Christian faith. As I grew up, I also grew special bonds that I wouldn't have without this church. I got closer to people my age as we worked together months leading up to the youth conference in Houston, Texas, and also spending every Wednesday night with kids, each growing in our own faith at confirmation classes. Also, I got closer to people older than me, like my mentor Leah and Pastor Bailey while she was here, and other members of the church. To me, creating relationships with people who are each at their own step of their faith journey are important, because you can learn from them, and you can learn from the struggles they went through, and they can help you through them because they've been through them hard times too. And you can also be the one that's guiding people through their hard times and helping them and giving them advice. And one place that I bonded with many people was at Good Earth Village. The summer between 7th and 8th grade, our church provides a trip to go to this camp for a week or so. And the first day is always awkward. You don't know the kids, and they make you do all these little games with them and socialize with them. And being that age, you don't really want to talk to other people kind of your age. You just kind of want to stay in your own little group. But it was weird because the group of us who went from this church weren't even really that close at the time. But over this next week, I think I was friends with almost everyone there at camp, and not even just the kids, but even all the other pastors and youth leaders who were there and all the camp counselors. I felt as comfortable with the people at camp as I was with my friends back home. Those days at camp when we played games, roamed around the village, and had multiple worship services throughout the day, we sang and ate, and some of the days they'd send us off just with our own group of kids from our own church. And I just remember one day we finally got to go into the air-conditioned room after being outside, and it was hot all day. And we sat down with each other and we tied blankets that you see kids present to newly baptized babies and their families at the church. And as the 9 of us sat in that room with Pastor Bailey and Stacy, we cut and tied fleece, and we all just talked about stuff with each other that we wouldn't have talked about before that camp. We got closer to each other, and that really helped for the next few years that we would spend together every Wednesday night. It felt good to be able to share things with kids my own age, and we were around the point in our life who were around the same point in their life. And then having Pastor Bailey and Stacy there to guide us if we had any questions or just to help us out or give us advice if we needed it. Besides camp, just being surrounded by understanding people of the church, it makes it so easy to ask questions and not be scared to take bigger steps in my faith. And I really think it helped that I was going to church as a young kid, but it really was the people of the church that helped teenagers and young people like me grow and expand our faith by organizing opportunities like church camps and mission trips. I'm only 16, sharing my faith journey that I feel has barely even started. Standing up here, sharing these stories with you, knowing that I have the rest of my life to learn even more about myself and God. I would have never thought I would have come this far in my faith, and this opportunity to stand up here and share with you has really made me think about it. Think hard about it, that I really haven't done until now. I really think today is a big step in my journey, saying these words out loud and hearing them through my own ears, because when I first told Stacy that I would do this, I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And the first thing that I wrote and came to the church and practiced, it really wasn't my story. And I actually texted Stacy and I told her that I was completely rewriting it and I was doing it again. Because when I stood up at the church and practiced the first time, I just didn't feel like that's what I wanted to say. So this second time that I sat down and I started writing this, it's like the words had just flowed out of me and just written themselves. And it's like the words I wanted to write the first time. And when I didn't struggle to come up with these words like I did the first time, and it was like all these things that were in the back of my head that I wanted to write the first time were just writing themselves. And that made me think that sometimes we think everyone's journey in life and their faith should be the same, but it's not, because I was trying to write my journey the first time like I had heard other people tell theirs, and it's never the same. So I thought that I actually really didn't have a faith journey, and sure, I had gone to church and done things within the church, but I thought that I haven't really taken any big steps or been changed by God. But as I'm writing this, I realize that the little things in my life, and that I realize it's all the little things in my life, and that God doesn't have to change me for me to have a journey. I believe in Him, and I know He's helped me through many hard times that I don't always realize. I know He answers our prayers. It definitely isn't always instant, but He answers them when He feels His time. I'm still learning, and this certainly is not the end of my journey, but I think it's one of the first big steps in digging deep and realizing that everyone's relationship with God isn't the same. This church is the beginning and the roots of my journey, and I've learned so much about God, and I've grown with Him in this church. I've been through a lot of hard times and many good times, but every way I look, I know my faith will grow, and I hope people will continue to support me and others who may be struggling. Here are 2 verses I thought that I should close with. Judges 18:5-6. Then they said to him, "Please inquire of God to learn whether our journey will be successful." The priest answered them, "Go in peace, your journey has the Lord's approval." And Psalms 23:4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are there with me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. Thank you.